One of our frequent guests, Frank Kalberg, wants to know how you go about learning, about a company culture, the values that they hold. What are some things you look for?
It's a great question. There are things I love to. I mean, I try to spend as much time as I can with its people, and not just the CEO. It's funny. I would tell you, as an analyst, something that I think I've always done differently. Companies will host an investor get together, right? Let's call it 50 to 100 people in a room, and they'll have their CEO and their CFO, and then they'll have various division heads and sector CFOs and the general counsel and the head of HR. And over the years, I've always found these meetings sort of funny, right? Because when you walk into one, there will be 15 analysts standing in a circle around the CEO, and then there'll be 12 analysts standing in a circle around the CFO, and there'll be 10 analysts standing in a circle around the sexiest sector within the conglomerate, whoever that sector president is. I have never stood in those circles. I don't want to be in those circles. I always seek out the person who has nobody standing there talking to them. It's like the chief scientist, the head of HR, the general counsel, the newly indoctrinated sector CFO over here. And I've often loved having those discussions because the CEO and the CFO and some of these other folks, they say many of the same things that you would say on a public company conference call. And I feel like I don't learn as much from that. So I try to meet the next layer down. I try to tour as many factories as I possibly can. I try to talk to a company's customers candidly, sort of off the record about what it is they get, out of, their relationship with that particular company. And funny enough, you as an analyst, as you grow, as a young analyst, I find you befriend the more junior executives in an organization, right? Because the old analysts are the ones that know the CEO when you're just a 30-something, kid following these stocks. But what happens is over time, the people become the ones that run the company. And I've gotten to a point now where the people I know are the ones that run the company, and it's been fun to watch their career progression and to watch their influence on the organization. And so I guess the answer to the question is it's very holistic. I give a lot of speeches to companies about what Wall Street thinks about their value creation formula, or just them in general. And I've almost made a process out of that as well. I say if I'm going to come speak, you should invite me to the dinner the night before, because I want to go talk to 50 people. I want to know more about what makes a company tick. And the more you learn about that, and then you pair it with the financials and financial analysis, there's an intersection, right? And people, we're all just trying to feed our families, right? I mean, it's an unbelievable system here, but we do different things where we add value and we attempt to make money and live our lives. And when you begin to see what it is that companies are seeking to accomplish, you open a proxy statement and ask yourself, why is the incentive compensation formula like this? And when I sit down with, these 20 people that work at the company and ask them what they're working on, does it align with the results that are meant to drive that incentive compensation package? In the best companies, the alignment is very clear throughout the organization. In the worst ones, it's completely disconnected. Mm-hmm. And you can find that, one of the companies we talk about in the book, but a company I covered today even, is Otis Elevator, which you think, oh, sleepy elevator company, like how exciting can that be? I mean, it's a fantastic business, but it's one that is absolutely transforming itself along with the entire industry today, because as the Internet of Things is enabling, connections that never existed before, we're adding new capability, right? So there's Otis has 2.1 million elevators installed in the world. And as of last year, they had connected 100,000 of them to the internet. Well, why does that matter? Well, I'm out there competing against low cost independent providers. But if I could tell you, oh, well, on your phone, I can show you exactly how your elevator is working, when it's not working. I can proactively send service technicians to you. The elevator business is all about that service tail. And so as we digitize everything, we've got a real opportunity to change and transform companies like that. Otis was spun out of United Technologies just a year ago. And when you look at United Technologies' incentive structure, for example, for years and years and years, under George David and then under Louis Chenevert for the better part of 20 years, the company was had a compensation structure basically based on EPS growth, right? And Otis, in the construct of that conglomerate, was basically viewed as this slow-growing thing that really didn't have innovation opportunities, but it generated a lot of cash. And the cash could be reinvested in all the fast-growing things like aerospace or whatever. And when a company gets inside that, right, and you're just viewed as the ATM, you're not allowed to unlock your full potential. And so this digitization story, this transformational shift for a business like that, is something that's really only become present to the market in the last year, because now it's a company that can stand on its own and it can shape its own incentive structure. And so it's just one example of how these things can get misaligned.